Welcome to the Side Convo with your host, Bob Phipps. Your panelists today are Monica Mason, Jeff Nolan, Michelle Walters, and, oh no, not him again, Joe Boyle. And now, your host, Bob Phipps.
Tonight on the Side Convo, we're diving into a topic that's both deeply misunderstood and highly polarizing: book banning. You know, we've all heard this term thrown around, but what does it really mean to ban a book? Is it about removing a book from a school library, or is it something more severe, like making it illegal to even own or sell the book? Mustafa Akhil, author of Islam Without Extremes, knows firsthand what it means to actually have a book banned. His book was banned in Malaysia in 2017. Now, as Mustafa put it then, he said, when a book is banned, it's not available, so it's not legal to sell it. That's what a book ban means. Now, I was arrested at Kuala Lumpur International Airport. He was held for 18 hours of detainment by the Malaysian religion police. Now, he was let go. Bookstores couldn't sell it. The book wasn't available. And basically, you couldn't own it. And that's just the way it was. Now, that was what his view as a ban. Now, in the United States, we don't necessarily see literal book bans where it's illegal to sell or own a book. Sometimes the language used around this issue is hyperbolic, which only deepens divisions and hinders meaningful dialogue. From the first time Adventures of Tom Sawyer was, quote, banned in 1950 by the NAACP to more recent bannings of genderqueer in school libraries, both sides have used this action to protect citizens in our republic. Now, I've got to remind y'all on this show, of course, no mention of any politician's name, words, or actions in our show, or you will be banned, but only temporarily. So, Monica, let's define this term. What does a book ban mean to you?
Well, it's pretty simple. Ban means to prohibit. And to your comment about the NAACP banning Tom Sawyer, they didn't ban it. They were the first to file a major complaint, if you will, against the book. But they don't really have the authority to ban a book. They can ask for it to be banned, but ban just means to prohibit.
No, you're exactly right. And that's what I read there. I was saying more the ban with the quotes around it because we throw that term around. All right, Michelle, what does banning mean to you? A book ban mean to you? What do you define it as?
Well, the way that I define, though, a book ban is also, you know what I mean? I agree with regards to what Monica said, but with taking into account in the U.S., it is a challenge of a book. It's not a banning of the book. It's a challenge of the book. With regards to parents that have now stood up and decided that, especially within the last 2 years, there's been a 65% surge in challenges to books, to where it is parents that are taking much more of a forefront on the content that is going into their school system. So it's not a complete ban. You still have access to it, but you might have some limitations that are surrounding there. Hopefully we can discuss later on.
Yeah, there you go. We're still using the word ban. Jeff Nolan, what's your initial thought?
I can speak largely to the state of Florida because this is where I am. And to me, the limiting access to books and information is a form of ban. And what has happened here, it's weaselly. It's almost a shadow ban where the state has put an incredible burden on schools and librarians to comply with these nebulous guidelines. And it's insidious. And it manages to ban books in reality, but still technically not banning them, so that the right wing can be disingenuous and say, oh, well, we're not banning it. Yeah. It's like, sure. And also to Michelle's point about parents taking more of an active role in what's available in the school, if you look at the majority, and again, I'm speaking only for the state of Florida, if you look at the people who have been really active in complaining about books, as often as not, it's people who don't have children or don't have children in the public school system. And frankly, it's 3 or 4 people in the state of Florida that really need a hobby.
Well, okay.
Well, that's
Joe
Boyle.
I got lots to say.
Okay, you'll get there. Joe Boy, let's give me your opening thoughts. But Jeff, I agree with you. Asking the government to do more is not necessarily what I want to do either. So it's, one parent complains and all of a sudden. Joe Boy, start out. Define it.
So first off, a ban is where it's not available to be purchased. And right now, the only thing that has been banned is Dr. Seuss, because the owners of Dr. Seuss, the family, has decided to ban themselves because they felt that the material had some racial inequities, and it was, drawn Asian people incorrectly and so forth. So they've removed the books, and eBay and Amazon will now block the sale of even the old books. So they don't want, that's to me a true ban. What is going on is concerned parents are asking people to choose and wanting to say, if I'm paying for this to be in schools, if I want to have some ideas of what I want in there. I don't want sex inside school books. And that's the main issues. Is we just don't want kids learning some of the stuff that they're putting in there, even as in second grade.
All right, Monica, your reply to these guys.
I would like to know what book in second grade is talking about sex.
There's lots of LGBTQ.
Okay, so what this is about, let's just be real. This is about control. This is about people being uncomfortable. This is people who are like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to talk to my kid about this, so I don't want anybody to hear about it. And that's not the reality. That's not the world we live in. There are LGBTQ plus people in this world. They're not learning about how these people are having intercourse. They're not in second grade. They're not. So my issue is all this hooting and hollering about second graders learning about sex. First of all, let's be clear. Are we talking about health? And I don't think they're doing that in second grade either.
No.
So I just think this is a lot of alarmist behavior. This is people who don't have very good reading comprehension themselves, because you're not going to tell me that they are literally talking about homosexuals having sex to these kids at such a young age. Now, are we talking about relationships? And I can go back and say the same thing about interracial relationships.
Big time.
There was a book banned about bunnies. The book was called The Rabbit's Wedding, a black rabbit and a white rabbit, and people lost their damn mind. So I feel the same way. It's
that's
a bunch
part of
of
the reason why I think the Times does value. When parents have a problem, they put it up for a challenge. Now, I do have a problem with people sending 100 books there. I think the solution is very easily. The first 5 books you get to put up on challenge for free. But after the 5th book, you pay $100 per book to keep challenging. That way we find out what all parents want, not just 1 or 2. But I don't think it's 1 or 2. I think a lot of parents don't want kids learning about little boys using sex toys at camp, because that's what they decided to have in a book that's being geared towards 8th graders, and you should do it too. And that's the thing, is that it's teaching people.
Oh my God, the right-wing propaganda.
The thing is, this is the part of this that you guys are not, I feel it's being overlooked though, is that in placing challenges on books that has gone back since the beginning of time. It was 400 years ago, where a Puritan book was actually not banned, but was on the block for censorship. And this goes along on both party lines. This is Democrats that have equally sat there and challenged books as equally as with regards to Republicans. The only difference that's going on right now is the surge. There is definitely a surge in parental groups, and it's not necessarily like a bunch of people that just absolutely have nothing going on with a bunch of time on their hands. A lot of these groups were sitting there and formed in they were formed in Florida. It was the Moms for Liberties. It's the Citizens Defending Freedoms. It's the Parents' Right of Education. The Moms for Liberties, those were, like I said, they were started in 2021 here in Florida. Now, these particular women, though, they were school board members. It's not necessarily like women that don't necessarily know what's going on or don't know how to read a book or have, wanting to sit there and create conflict or whatever. No, these are educated women that are sitting there waiting for
please.
Some of the material that is in there.
Educated women, my
Okay, I want to hear from the left here. One of y'all go.
Well, I'll tell you, I think that, things like Moms for Liberty, these are largely AstroTurf groups, and they're political groups. And it's not it's not a mystery why the books they go after are inevitably LGBT based or stories about people of color. It's, and the moment you point out that all their supposedly objective criteria, if you look at the Christian Bible, you go down the line, it ticks every one of the boxes.
Absolutely, it does.
Heaven help you if you try
and
to.
it gets challenged all the time.
Yeah,
And
but
we
it
hear that when
never
we get
goes through, because all of this is based on religion and Puritanism that this country cannot frickin' shake, man. It's very Taliban. It's, to me, putting any sort of restriction on information and learning is just idiotic. And it says more about the person trying to do it than it does the book. Just because you don't understand the value of something doesn't mean it doesn't have value.
Right.
All right, good start, guys. We've got to take our first break, and Monica's going to lead off the second because she was looking a little antsy there. Listen, this is what we want to talk about. What is a book ban about? Trying to understand it from both sides. Let's see if there's something there. We'll be right back after our word from our sponsors.
Corona Cigar Company is your one-stop shop for all your cigar needs. Whether that's a brand new humidor, a box of those new cigars you've been waiting for, a top-of-the-line cutter or lighter, a place to enjoy the finest cigars and spirits with friends, or the only cigars grown right here in the Sunshine State, we've got you covered. Come visit one of our retail locations for the ultimate cigar experience. Visit us online at coronacigar.com.
Oak Ridge Gun Range is a family-oriented shooting range that has been in business for over 30 years. They specialize in basic firearm training and offer numerous services such as consignments, gun trades, gunsmithing, and concealed weapon classes. I even got my training for gun safety at Oak Ridge Gun Range. Great customer service, and firearm safety is what they do best. So find out more at oakridgegunrange.com.
Welcome back, everybody. We certainly wanted to show where we've got maybe a little division, but maybe we'll have some little bit of understanding here as we go on. Monica, what is your big issue with the right's position on this, with the parents wanting to have some control on what books are in school?
So the first thing is the Moms with Liberty. And I'm not disagreeing necessarily so much with Michelle about these women having some sort of education. I'd love to know what they're so afraid of when one of them was arrested for shoplifting. I wonder where she learned that, and what that, what kind of skill and quality she thinks that is showing the people that she's banning books that are just, it's art. Let's go there too. Like, we're not just talking about literary works. This is art. And I take issue with the fact that no one is really, and to Jeff's point, it's political. Let's just say what it is. It is 100% political, but nobody's really saying what they're so afraid of, because I'm a 51-year-old woman who's made it this far in life, and I've read half of these books that have been banned. Ain't a damn thing wrong with me other than I'm going to speak my mind. Oops, might that be the fear? Oh my God, people are going to think for themselves and challenge the people making laws. You can't challenge what you don't know. And most of the laws that are coming into play come from history, are repeated in books. And let me say this, it's not just fiction that they're trying to ban. They are also trying to ban factual events. They don't even want kids to know about the damn Holocaust. Make that make sense.
Well, I think everyone should know about the Holocaust, because we don't want to repeat those things again. Of course.
Absolutely, but we don't need the 2-year-olds to know about the
Everyone
Holocaust.
just assumes one thing or another. I do say, my son's back here. I don't want him learning different things about, these are the new toys to try out. Are you wondering whether or not you're a boy or a girl? You should think about that today. I don't want him learning that as a kid. And guess what? They're forcing that stuff in schools. They're encouraging it. Some of them are just delivering them to the libraries to try to get them. Here, we'll give it to you for free just to get in the library so your kids can learn this stuff. Maybe I want to choose that stuff. Maybe I want to choose what my son sees. And guess what? most parents would like to be able to choose when their kids get to put that. Yes, they're going to find it anyway. Yes, they're going to see stuff anyway over time. But maybe I want to have a little bit of control about what my kids see. I'm not banning it from Amazon. By all means, go there and buy it. If you want to get your kid to watch it and to see it, go buy it for him and buy as much of it as you want. In fact, book bans make money. They make great money for those people because their stores are selling, hey, we got all the banned books. So congratulate them and take the money. But keep it away from my kid. That okay?
It's your job to keep it away from your kid, Joe.
Not if you put it in the school and say, here, you have to have the library. Please stand up and read it to the class.
Why does a right wing try to make it sound like school in the United States now is just Sodom and Gomorrah?
Thank you.
It's not necessarily a matter of that, though. I mean, the fact of the matter is, we live in a free, pluralistic society, and we have the right to sit there and express for our individual ideology. We have a right to sit there and express that we take issue with some of the content that is being presented to age-appropriate kids in the various different schools. And it's not necessarily like it's a ban. It's not necessarily saying that, okay,
well, you buy it on Amazon, give it to your kid.
You can't. It just might not necessarily be appropriate in elementary school. If you want to go to your public library and go buy it, read it, you can download it. There's various different forms. I just don't think that there are certain age appropriate that should belong in elementary schools.
So is your issue with it being taught, or is your issue with it even being in the library? Because I
don't mind. Well, it depends. Okay, I take two issues with that one. One of them is, for instance, like on gender neutral. On that particular one, yeah, I do take issue with that one being in an elementary school library. If it's going to be somewhere, I think that it should probably be somewhere where it's going to be a little bit more of on a restricted area. The book was not intended for children. The book, according to the author, though, was written for the audience, was for adults. It was for his parents to give an understanding and appreciation of the strife, the struggles, and everything that he was going through. It wasn't meant for children. But I understand that with regards to the trans, the LGBTQ community, that they were taking this and kind of, this is a model. It's won numerous awards. That's why a lot of the librarians are automatically just putting it into their libraries. But it is to be able to sit there and have kids have a sense of, different forms of self-expression. I can understand the appeal behind it. I think, though, with regards to age-appropriate kids, they are not in a developmental state to be able to sit and understand all the concepts that are presented in that book. They're just not.
Is the book written on a level? Like, I think there are a lot of things missing from this conversation that need to be put into place. That is going to be a challenge because it's different everywhere. What grade is the elementary school starting at and ending at, right? Because there are some schools where these grades are all in the same building, right?
Correct.
So, okay, Michelle says, put it in a restricted area. Okay, fine. But now you're still going to have parents who are like, well, I don't want them to have access to it.
That's a good thing.
Let me finish. They're blocking access to just putting the book in the library. The kid is going to decide whether or not they're going to take the book or not. Now,
the kid's not qualified to make that decision. Come on.
Hang on, Joe. I'm not concerned about a kid who's like, what? I don't even know. What's second grade? Can that kid even read the damn book? Probably not. Like, it's a concern that's just so over the top for some of these age groups. They don't even know what the book is. And a lot of y'all are doing more damage to your own cause because you got all these books you don't want them to read. Now they know what the title is.
Okay,
now,
Monica, you've got more time than both of us combined. So hold on.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Here's the thing. Parents want to be able to choose what their kid sees. It's really that simple. Now, some have a restricted area where the parent has to sign off that their kid can read that book. I'm fine with that. Parents should have those choices. I just don't want sex in front of my kid. I should choose to do that. Don't force me to put my kid in private school, which I've had to avoid that. It's wrong to force these issues. Maybe other parents want tons of gratuitous sex. I don't. The most banned book in this country, if I'm not mistaken, was Oh, To Kill a Mockingbird. Both sides didn't like it because there was a rape scene. We don't want that. And the Democrats didn't want the racial elements into it. So it seems like Democrats and Republicans both want to ban books. But they ban it.
I don't know anybody on the left who ever wanted
but we don't need to ban it.
Okay.
We just need to let it
Okay, Joe, let's let Jeff have some say.
Oh, okay.
Go,
I'm
Jeff.
not busting up a schiffer robe for you.
He's the low man on the totem pole for time,
Yeah,
Jeff.
you're
So
low man.
slow
Well,
down
your
and tell us
counters
what
are
you
off
think.
tonight. I think one thing that's jumping out at me here that's kind of funny is the fact that we're kind of approaching this as if physical books in a school library are the repository of information for children just speaks to how old we all are. Because that's not how kids get information, man. It's just not. And so the idea, it's like, oh well, I better get genderqueer out of the junior high library, or my kid might realize that gay people exist. Man, come on.
We're not worried about gay people existing. We just don't want visual scenes of boys sticking things inside other boys' rear ends at camp and say this is something you should learn in school. It's wrong.
I would rather, and reasonable people can disagree on this, but I would rather see someone young reading something that may be a little too edgier than we would like, just to show the passion for reading. And if that brings them to it, that, like, for example, one thing that I will always give an immense amount of respect to J.K. Rowling for is that woman put something together that got an entire generation of children to read books. That's an amazing feat. And guess what books are among the most challenged now? Freaking Harry Potter books. Why is that?
When they're challenged from both sides.
What's in a Harry Potter book that's inappropriate for it?
But that's challenged from both sides. And
they're challenged from both sides.
No, it's not.
Yes,
it's not. It's challenged by the religious right. Come on. It's all about, witchcraft.
And fine, though, with regards to challenging. But the fact of the matter is, though, it's not necessarily like these books are being completely taken off. It's one of those to where the parents have the ability to sit there and say, I challenge this book. They are not the judgment. They are not the final say whether that book is going to be that's going to maintain in the library or not. It has to go through a process. But still,
Michelle,
they have their right to state, I'm uncomfortable with this content.
I totally agree that of course they have the right to say that. However, the state, and again, I can only speak for the state of Florida, the state has put a mechanism in place where the onus immediately, just by a parent challenging a book, the onus goes on to the school librarian and the school system. And it is an insane process of review.
Hey, Jeff, we got to take a break now, but I agree with you. I have read that, the burdensome of what has to happen, and that's where I was talking about government coming in and handling any of this stuff just scares the living heck out of me. So we're getting there. So in this last segment, it's going to be a challenge, but we want you to make sure to watch our shows, whether you're watching live or watch it on tape. Like us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, and of course, there's always thirdsideconvo.com. And we'll be right back for our last break, and then we're going to try to get us together a little bit. I'm got to tell.
Aw, Dad, my computer's slow again and I can't play my games.
Call Your Computer Solutions today, and we will scan for viruses and clean that computer up remotely and make it fast again. Our phone number is 407-826-0810.
Thanks, Dad. My computer's fast again. Now I can do my homework. Thanks for calling Your Computer Solutions at 407-826-0810. The Tide Show would like to thank Boggy Creek Airboat Adventures for being one of our sponsors. I got to go on an airboat and saw a real gator. I even got to go to the gem mine and mine for some gems. We ate a steak dinner at the restaurant and even got some gator bites. If you want to have a blast with the entire family, I suggest you go to www.bcairboats.com right now. Get your tickets today. The website again is bcairboats.com.
Yeah, back when I was in junior high, I could have used some of these books because I knew absolutely nothing about sex. They didn't have the internet, none of that stuff. Now, here's a question I would like to ask kind of to both sides, but I kind of know how the right's going to answer this. But on the left, it's not just about gender queer. Let me ask you this. Should the school libraries be teaching Kama Sutra and the joy of sex?
It would make kids more read books, right, Jeff?
Joe, shut up. So what I'd like is, no, I really want to talk about that because I think that's what the right seems to say to me, because I heard, this was mentioned in the DNC, that's all these book banning. Isn't it just about, though, possibly the whole sex issue, and we're focusing, you're right, politically, Jeff, on this, quote, gender queer thing. But should we be talking about those things?
Well, I mean, I think that as a society, and this is not a new thought, I think it's just weird how freaked out Americans largely are by sexual things, and how we will embrace and celebrate crazy violent things. I just, that doesn't make any sense to me. To me, sexual content is part of life.
Yeah, the Europeans think we're rather quaint and Puritan, don't they? Okay, we're now going to start on a 30-second clock. You haven't seen this before, Monica, but as we go around, we're going to go on and put everybody on the 30-second hourglass. Monica, you're now out of the banning. We're now taking you up. You can now speak. You're on a 30-second clock. Bring us together a little bit. Can you understand what they're thinking anyway? Okay, go.
So I'll try to do this as quickly as possible. The Florida statute is 847.011. And to Jeff's point, it really is about the restrictions that's creating the issue. Right. And then the other thing is are they really teaching this stuff, or are they just complaining about the availability? I've never heard of a class talking about insertion of a sex toy to any child. So I think Joe Boyle is a little off the rail on this one with some of that.
Yeah, somebody was reading, I've seen, clips that the right loves to put out there of somebody reading from these books, and I must admit I was learning a thing or two. Michelle, you're on the clock. Get us together, Michelle. I need you for this.
I think that with regards to, we all have the same common understanding, and we have the same concern of the content that's going in. We want to be able to sit there and express our First Amendment rights. We want to be able to offer our kids a variety of different information, much more so than what we had in the past. And I think that it's a matter of trying to look at the various ways that we can insert ourselves as parents and being able to challenge things without it congesting the school system. And hopefully we can come together on trying to find a meeting of the minds where how can we challenge something without it completely taking it off the plate?
Okay, perfect. So, Jeff, we at least have one reasonable person on the right in Michelle, but can you see a little bit about how it gets to be a problem?
Sure. But I think that, to my way of thinking, the encouraging a curious mind, a passion for knowledge, a passion for reading far outweighs any kind of potential phantom harm that may come from reading about maybe something sexual or something that challenges core beliefs or religious beliefs of somebody's parents. I think that developing that passion is more important.
Yeah, I got it. Well, back when we were watching cartoons when we were kids, there was all sorts of sexual stuff, but it went right over my head. Joe Boy, you're trying to protect, but you can't protect forever.
Well, I've seen video clips of people in school boards where a woman was arrested for reading off out of a book that her daughter was told to read in class. But because it was too raunchy and sexual, that they removed her from the thing. They ended up not arresting her, but they did remove her from the building because they didn't want to have their ears hear it. The board didn't want to hear it. So I think it's wrong to force these kind of issues on kids. I think parents have a right to say what they want their kids to read or not. It's available other places, and if you want your family to see it, buy it for them all you want. But I like the fact that the restricted option, I think, is a good idea. Have parents sign off saying, my kid can see that, and they can check out that book. I have no problem with that. I just want to have some right to be able to control what my child sees on my terms. When he's 18, do what he wants.
Monica, did you learn some stuff from those books?
Yeah, to Jeff's point, it created a desire to want to read more. Yeah. It also helps you expand. It also helps you expand your vocabulary. Again, to Jeff's point, we're in a digital age. Back then, when I came across a word I didn't know, I'd be like, Mom, what's this? She'd be like, get the dictionary.
Exactly.
Now you can just look it up, or Chat GPT will tell you what it is, whatever. But I think there is an aspect of education and mental growth there that can potentially be missed. Don't get me wrong. I don't want pornography for young kids. I'm not saying that. I think there is a lot of a exaggeration going on that is just making this situation worse than what it is. Because I do agree a lot with Michelle is actually saying. I get that, but I just think there's some people who are perverting the issue to suit their needs. And
but you understand where they're coming from, Jeff. You understand. And I think Michelle and Joe see that there's a lot of issues getting the government in this thing. Look, we can't solve everything all at one time. I just want y'all to realize that we do need to talk these things out. And, this is why we have the show. And I can't wait for the after show to see what they're going to say about this one. We're going to be interested in this. And so until we see you next week on the Third Side Convo, we're going to get together and we're just going to discuss things no matter what. And by the way, I want to give props to everybody that the name of the Florida governor was never mentioned during this show. Good job, guys. We'll see you next week.